Welcome to Mighty Married Moms. Join us at our kitchen table twice a week as the Mighty Married Moms, Debbie, Linda, Wendy, invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy, building marriages with soul-satisfying connection, raising happy, healthy, successful kids. Conversations with Mighty Married Moms will bring you closer to the life you really want.
Episode 97.
Hi, this is Wendy Williams. And marriage happiness is way possible. ConnectAgain.org is very happy to sponsor Mighty Married Moms. We are partners in bringing you closer to the life you really want. Visit us today for marriage boosts at ConnectAgain.org.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Mighty Married Moms. I am Deborah Owen from You Can Raise Great Kids.
And I'm Wendy Williams from ConnectAgain.org.
And I'm Linda Tighe from AllWellBreaksLoose.com.
So we are really excited today to be able to introduce you to Ian Ryan. Ian is a personal trainer, nutrition coach, and the founder of GoldenHabits.com. He runs a corporate business in the Washington, D.C. area and started his online community, Live with Confidence, earlier this year. This group is where he helps people overcome their limiting thoughts and create more confidence in their life. Ian believes that in order to take care of and control your body, you have to take control of your mind as well. So, Ian, we are thrilled to have you here with us today. Welcome.
I am super excited to be here and chat with everyone. So, let's do this.
Excellent,
Yeah,
excellent.
Great.
Well, Ian, if you can just give us like in a minute kind of a brief synopsis of how you got from where you were to where you are right now. How did you end up doing GoldenHabits.com?
Well, it's been an accumulation of a lot of things. I actually started in the fitness industry working in gyms and did just about every position. I was a personal trainer. I managed a couple clubs. You know, I did some corporate management where I was the regional manager for several facilities. I just didn't feel fulfilled. I don't know. I felt like with working at a gym, it was more about, to be quite honest, I found myself fixing saunas and issues in the facility more so than actually focusing on the fitness. So I really wanted to get out and do my own thing. That kind of started my journey into my own personal training business, and that got me into corporate fitness, where I work with a lot of corporate professionals and actually a lot of married moms that don't have a lot of time for fitness. So that's actually a lot of my clientele. But from there, what actually inspired Golden Habits was when my brother passed away. So he passed away in January. It was a tough time for my family, but it really just lit something off inside of me and said, fitness is a big part of me, but personal development is something that's so important to me too. And I never really got to discuss that and talk about that, with my business. So that's what inspired the launch of the blog. And everything I do on Golden Habits is I write, I do a lot of videos, I do content, but it's really talking about not only the physical components of fitness, but also the mental components as well. Because I think, Aristotle has a quote, and he says, success is really an accumulation. And this isn't really the exact words of the quote, but I'll give you kind of what he means by it. But, he says, success is really what we do day in and day out. So for that way, it's like excellence is really defined by habits, right? And it's so true, because when it comes to fitness and when it comes to wellness, it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. So I talk a lot about habits, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
That's great.
That is great. So consistency is key, and I think that's a really important message for all of us.
Absolutely.
Consistency
The
is key.
inverse of that, right, is the weekend warrior who goes out and goes nuts on the weekend, like in a fitness frenzy or, playing a lot of squash or whatever. And then they're like sore and don't pick up. And the inverse of consistency is inconsistency, right?
Absolutely. I'll give you a perfect example. When I take on a new client, for example, they're always like, okay, I want to lose 25 pounds. Like, okay, let's set some goals. This is how long it's going to take. And they're like, well, what happens if I just don't eat for, a week or so? And I'm like, that's just not going to work long term. You have to look at it as a consistent thing that you do over time and you build on it, and the longer you do it and the more consistent you're with it, then it becomes a habit and it becomes part of your lifestyle. So that's what I try to teach, not the weekend warrior approach, not the quick, dirty, we're going to lose 10 pounds in a weekend approach, but just making it a part of what you do every day.
That's important. Yeah, yeah.
And what you said too about the fact that the mind is just as important. I had an experience this summer where I'm a larger woman, and I've been a lot larger. I was up to 320 pounds at one point in my life. And
well, you look great now.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And one of the things that I did, I took some drastic measures, which we don't need to go into, but they have worked. And I'm glad that I did it, and I wouldn't change it. But there's been some extra weight that I know is very much tied to my childhood, very much tied to some promises that I made to myself. I'll give you the 2 sentences that had the biggest impact. My dad walked around and said, if ever I get below 200 pounds, you know it's because I got the cancer. Yeah. So I was like, 200 pounds, below that, death. And the other one, not a sentence, but my mom suffered greatly from depression. And every time when she felt well and happy, she had her lipstick on, like I do today, lipstick on, and she was walking around a size 14, 16, and she was present and connecting. More depressed she got, the smaller she got, the tighter the bathrobe went around her waist.
Right.
And I was like, oh, depressed means thin and unavailable. Got it. So
yeah.
Promises I made to myself. So mindset is really huge. And some things happened this summer with some other modalities about switching the mind that has made a big difference. I have actually dropped very naturally, like 10 or 12 pounds, very, very naturally without adjusting anything externally. But my mind was quieted and those messages are not as loud. So yeah, I that was my connection with when I was reading your website and so forth, and what you just said. The mind is huge on this body part.
It absolutely is. It's so huge. And, a lot of times when we're able to control our mind, there's going to be things in our life that throw us off track. And that's just natural. It's going to happen to everyone, right? But if we can take control of our mind, a lot of times we can take control of the stress in our life, or at least be able to react to that stress differently. And something that's so overlooked, especially with fitness, is when people are super stressed out, the foods that they take in are not going to digest properly, right? Yeah. So it's going to mess up your hormones. And then it's like, okay, I'm eating well. I'm trying to do this, but my body is just not reacting right. It's correlated with the mind too. So it's a 1-2 punch. And I always try to get people to really work on themselves as, with the fitness aspect too. So you're absolutely right. It's such a critical part of it.
Yeah, I love that.
Much more so than I ever realized.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely find that too. I think it's hard for people to stick with their fitness regimen, stick with their nutrition, being healthier, because it has to start in your mindset first.
Sure.
Otherwise you sort of go, yeah, and you're good for like maybe a week or two, and then all the old habits grip you back into your mindset. Yeah, if you can't shift that mindset, it's hard to get out of those habits, because those habits are a manifestation of your mindset.
Absolutely. You got to build momentum. This is the last time I checked, 92% of New Year's resolutions fail, right?
Yeah. Tons.
But my thought on that is this, okay? So you have these terrible habits in your life, and you're eating unhealthy, and you make this decision that on January 1st, you're going to flip the switch, right? But if you don't build momentum up to the new year, and then on January 1st, you try to take your life from, eating unhealthy every day to all of a sudden you're going to eat perfectly, it's not going to work, right? So it's a long-term process, and the more momentum you can build and the more consistent you can be, the better the chance you're actually going to stick with your routine.
Right. As they say, right, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? It's like you can't go from, you can't eat the whole elephant all at once, because it's impossible to do. And I always tell my clients too, it's, health is not perfection, it's a process. And it takes a long time to get there.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Right.
Ian, how do you counsel people to instill good habits in their lives? Because that's what I assume you mean by golden habits, right? Or the good habits.
Yeah, definitely. So, a couple different ways. In person, it's funny because my website and Golden Habits is really about developing habits, right? And I do write about fitness and nutrition, but mainly it's about the mindset components, developing more confidence, overcoming limiting beliefs. But it's funny because I actually take some of the same concepts and apply them in my fitness programs with my in-person clients as well. So what I do is I try to do this is like if someone comes to me and, we talk about a plan, we never try, and let's say they have a big goal of losing 30 or 40 pounds. I never try to make them change too many habits at one time, right? We focus on what one thing can we really fix now? What are we going to work on now? And what's funny is a lot of times with fitness, it's actually a deficiency, some type of nutritional deficiency. A lot of times it's eating too much, but where is that deficiency? What do we need to add? A fish oil supplement? Do we need to add something to make your body function better? Right?
Wow.
So that's not the case with everything, but that's a point that a lot of people really don't think about. And
it's helpful.
And instilling one habit at a time and then trying to build on that, right? Because if I can get someone to see a little bit of results and I don't overwhelm them initially by saying, okay, we're gonna make you eat perfectly, we're gonna work out 4 days a week, we're gonna do this, do that. It's just, it's hard for someone to stay consistent with it. So instead, I might say, okay, as part of this fitness routine, I want you to get in the habit of waking up early every single morning, right? And focusing on eating a healthy breakfast. And I'll lay out exactly what it is they're supposed to eat. Or we'll say, this for the first week, you're going to go for a jog every single morning. You're just going to get out and start moving, but you're going to be consistent and you're going to report back to me, because accountability in those initial stages is huge, Yeah. So that's really how I try to instill habits in people, is tell them, let's focus on one thing at a time. Let's build upon it. Let's set a goal. Challenges work really well. So for example, like I do a lot of 30-day challenges with my programs because people get excited, when there's a challenge and they can see the deadline in sight, they're a lot more likely to kind of get excited about it and stick with it. And then once they see those results after 30 days, they're like, wow, this is great. Like I want to stick with it. Like once you see those results, you want to keep going.
I like that there's an end in sight, so you don't feel like you have to do this forever. Like when I was doing the cleanse that Linda was teaching me about this month, it was just 3 weeks of changing the way I was eating. And actually, because I like what I was eating better than what I had been eating before, I've changed a lot of my eating habits going forward, just because you try it for a short period of time.
Right.
Exactly.
And in your mindset, I think it's a great idea to do the challenges in a short period of time, because people think, well, I can do it for 21 days or 30 days. If I have to think about doing it for the rest of my life, I go, it seems very, it's like a big thing, but you're right. And then they get the results and then you're more motivated to continue
some part of it, some aspect of it.
Right. Exactly. And it's almost like, with goals in life too, it's like you have this huge 5-year goal, right? And everyone views goal setting a different way. But I've always, it's hard if you have such a long way to go and you're focusing on that ultimate vision, at first that can be really hard. So breaking that up into smaller goals, setting deadlines, right, and then kind of monitoring your progress along the way is easier, because then you get excited. Like if you just look at that big long-term goal, you might think you're failing if you're not getting there quick enough.
Right.
Breaking that down into weekly and monthly goals and even daily goals. Like at the beginning, it can be so simple, but building that momentum is just critical for your mindset and overall happiness in life.
I keep picturing that elephant. One bite at a time. One bite at a time.
Oh, that poor elephant. We should have been eating an elephant.
And I think that concept of challenge, or getting people psyched up to either compete against one another or compete against their best selves. There's some real good science about that concept of gamification.
Yeah.
Really coming into its own in terms of a really strong way for people to move forward by making games out of things. I mean, there's people make light of it, like in schools. Maybe some professors or teachers are kind of teaching World War II Hitler stuff with games, and that's really tacky, but it sticks. It works. It sticks.
Yeah.
And it lights up parts of the brain. There's all this neurochemical stuff that really goes further. So I really appreciate what you're saying about that, the challenge piece and the gamification piece. I think that's really, we're really discovering that's some real gold for all of us, no matter what the industry is or the challenge is, to kind of move forward. So it's really great.
Absolutely. I think a lot of these concepts, they're not just health related, they're life related. Right? You can apply this stuff.
And it has to be fun or you're not going to do it.
Exactly.
It has to be fun.
Is there anything like gamification for budgeting?
Yeah, that should be
There
good.
probably is.
I haven't mastered that.
If my hundred, if my husband said, here's $100, if you don't spend it all by the end of the week, I'll give you $25 more. Like, probably is such a good thing. And I'm not saying he gives me my money. I'm just trying to say, because it's only the two of us in our budget, how can we make a game out of it? How can we make it fun?
Right.
You have some habits you would recommend for finances?
Right. Well, you know.
On the spot.
Yeah, on the spot in terms of finances. Well, I mean, really, I think that a very humbling thing to do, or something that everyone should try once. And I will say that I'm not a master of my finances, right? I still have that, like, for example, I have an obsession with Starbucks coffee. You know, I spend money like $5, $6 every day at Starbucks. I have coffee. But, you know, I think a really good thing for anyone to try is to challenge themselves once again. Okay, it's a challenge to track everything that you spend for 1 month, right? Everything. Like, I'm talking about, you know, coffee at Starbucks. I'm talking about, you know, bottled water, groceries, you know, a night out, anything. And then looking at that and really analyzing that after a month. And you'll just be amazed at how much stuff that you're spending money on that you really don't need, you know?
Yeah, right.
So I think that that's something I've done before. Yeah, you know, and it's helped. And I can't say that, I mean, I still am far from perfect with my finances and budgeting, but it's a humbling thing. And you'll also like realize, you know, if you really want to save money, it's you can make cuts in your life, and there's a lot of things that you can get rid of, and it makes you analyze like, okay, what can I toss out to make more room for something else that's more important and it's going to add more value to my life. So something I would try. Yeah.
It's a great idea.
I have to say, and then I have another question for you, but
Sure.
just on the Starbucks thing, I used to much Starbucks beyond my budget. Let's just say that, but beyond my budget. And the thing that helped me the most with that was I got the app on my phone. So you reload the app so you can, whenever you buy it, you get points. And I noticed like the first month I reloaded, I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, because you don't think about it when you're just kind of stopping in or you're meeting somebody or whatever. And so it was a good enlightening, like you said, keeping track. It was like a great way to keep track.
Like I spent $75.82 on just this week.
Ooh, that's scary.
But unfortunately, that sounds about accurate for me. So
it can happen fast.
Yeah, I know.
Fast. So and I wanted to get back more into the exercise. I think that can happen fast too. You can sort of go, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like doing this, or maybe it's I have to go to the gym to exercise, right? So do you have any tips for us moms who are busy and maybe don't have a gym membership? And, you know, what are things that women can do even at home, or how can they habit stack their exercise regimen so that they're doing a little bit?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed. And the first step, let's say you haven't been working out for a while, I mean, I can't tell you like how hard it is to get back into it for people if they've fallen off for a long period of time, right? So I think
like after having babies.
Oh, you can tell us how hard it is.
Yeah.
We
after having babies.
Well, I know. Well, the reason I say that is because I work with a lot of moms with kids, you know, and they come and we start an exercise program, and initially it's hard for them to get into that, you know? So I think one thing that you can do is, if you haven't done anything for a while, is back to what we were discussing earlier, is start small, right? But I think initially it's important to get someone to hold you accountable, and to realize that in the beginning stages, if you haven't been active, you don't necessarily have to look at it like going to the gym, right? Because jumping on a treadmill or an elliptical or something like that for someone initially, like, it might be hard to do that. You might have better luck as a mom or someone that's been struggling to join a community, right? I would join a group training program where you have excitement around your workouts. You have that sense of it. So whether you're joining a boot camp gym or a rock climbing club, or you're going, you know, join meetup.com and go for hikes. There's so many different ways to look at activity outside of weightlifting and running, or, you know, getting on the Stairmaster. So do something fun in the beginning stages, right? Do something fun. Don't limit yourself to thinking that you have to go to the gym. Hire a personal trainer. Make that investment in yourself initially, and after a while, it'll become easier. But that's what I would recommend. You know, is do something that you actually enjoy around physical activity, as opposed to doing something that you hate.
That's great.
Yeah.
So
I mean, really, even taking a dance class,
Right, exactly. That's
it's
movement.
much harder than you think,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you haven't been exercising. It's
Yeah.
even when you have been exercising, it can be very challenging.
I just
So
went
that's great tip number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Join a group in a community in order to get your
It's
exercise.
fun.
Yeah, make sure it's fun.
Right.
Sure.
Good. The accountability.
Yeah. And how
Yes.
else can a mom kind of ramp up? Is that what you asked?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know, because that's who our group is, moms out there. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, yeah, that's really where I would start. And you'll build momentum after that. And that's really, critical. In terms of diet, I think it's the same. I think it's along the same concepts. I mean, obviously, I guess you can get accountability around nutrition, but the way I view nutrition is similar in the sense that it's not about perfection. If you think that you are going to eat perfectly every day, or that's what your goal is, you're going to drive yourself absolutely crazy, And I don't believe in diets. Now, I'm not downplaying. I know diets work for some people, and that's great. And I'm not here to criticize diets. But what I'm here to say is, it's really not about diet. It's about eating real foods. Some simple tips would be to shop around the perimeter of the grocery store. Don't eat foods with a ton of preservatives in them. Don't eat foods with a lot of ingredients in them. Focus on real natural foods. Eat a lot of greens. Have a smoothie every morning, and just really try to focus on the fact that it's not perfection, and we're just going to make minor adjustments and build on them over time.
That's great. That's great. All good tips for sure. For sure. I just want to go back a little bit to something you had said early on in our conversation about confidence and limiting beliefs and how that all plays in with habits. If you could just talk about that for a couple minutes, that would be great, because I think a lot of people go through life not thinking about their thoughts.
Right. You're absolutely right.
The more you think about your thoughts, the more likely you are to be able to recognize when you do have these limiting beliefs. So I'll let you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, definitely. Well, I think a lot of us as human beings, we have all these thoughts going through our head. And sometimes we just need to take a step back and realize that we all have limiting beliefs, right? It's not just us. And there's a lot of different things that affect this. Like, for example, our external environment, how our parents raised us, who we hang out with. It plays a big role in how we view ourselves. And it can be really tough. If you had a tough childhood, or, you're breaking it, you have an addiction that you're trying to get over, or you don't feel like you have much self-worth, you've been in a relationship that has kind of put you down, and you're down in the dumps and you can't find a way out, it can be really difficult. I think we've all been there. We all have some limiting beliefs. But the thing is like, we just have to take the first step and realize that, some people might disagree with me on this, but I truly believe that confidence is not something that we're necessarily born with, right? I think it's something that we develop over time. And the first thing is, we just have to get over that initial fear of failure and put ourselves out there. And once we put ourselves out there, through repetition, through practice, and through realizing that this whole failure thing is really not that bad, we're going to become more confident in our ability to do things. So I usually say that, confidence is really developed through habits. If we put ourselves out there, and the thing is like, we might try something, and if we just can get over let's say we have something that we really want to try. We have failure stopping us from ever going after it. But if we can get over the fear of failure, and then we go for it, we're going to realize one of two things. We're going to realize, hey, this isn't for me. But I would have never known that it wasn't for me had I not tried it. And you learn a lot about yourself in the process, and you grow, right? Mm-hmm. Or on the other end, you're going to be like, wow, like I finally got over that fear of failure. And because I put myself out there, I realized this new thing about myself, So I think you just gotta realize, like, we all have limiting beliefs. It's not just you, it's everyone, and it's part of life, and it's just about how we react to it. Yeah. Get around positive people, I think, is key, because if you're hanging out with negative people all the time and you're not giving off positive vibrations, you're going to attract negative people into your life, right? Yeah. So. A lot of people say, like, okay, well, how do I get out of that inner circle? Like, how do I change past? How do I change my friends? And it can be difficult. It really can. Mm-hmm. But I think that the first step is to realize that you got to get around people that support you, right? You got to get around people that are positive. So an easy way to do that would be, to join a group of people that are like-minded, whether it's an online community, whether it's in person. And once you're around people that want to do the things that you do, like if you want to grow as a person, go find people that want to grow as a person, because if you're not, then it's going to be difficult. You're never going to build that confidence. So it's all attributed, because limiting beliefs, you got to get over it by getting over the fear of failure. Okay. Confidence is developed by trying things and just doing it over time and repetition. And eventually when you do things day in and day out, they become a habit. So it's all kind of linked.
All linked.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that for me, I have found when you've mentioned online communities,
Right.
I find that's a very easy way to go onto Facebook and find groups of people, either in closed groups or secret groups or whatever, that are on the same path. And it's just so, people say, Wendy, you're on Facebook too much. I'm like, do you realize that these people are my people now?
They're my people now, yeah.
They're my people now, because my people in my real life, well, first of all, I have to go out of my, I can't be hanging around with people. But when I'm working and I'm on Facebook and somebody says, I just did this thing, I just made this video, or I just helped this podcast. And I'm like, yeah, we do a podcast too. Let me tell you a trick that we use or whatever. It's so energizing to kind of really be around. And it's kind of, I'm really enjoying it, because when people say hang around with the winners, I'm like, well, where are the winners? And do I just walk up to them and say, can you let me in? I mean, I don't know how to do that.
I know. And it's really hard. It's actually something that, I've struggled with initially too. It's like you feel sometimes that if your vision and your dreams aren't aligned with, and the people around you just have a completely different mindset, that can cause limiting beliefs, right? Because you don't feel like you have any support. So I think an online community is a great place to start, because you can start to see, wow, there's people out there in the world that I'm not weird, right? Like there's people out there that think like I do. Right. And then you start getting in bit, and then, meetup.com is another.
Meetup is great.
Meetup is great.
And I've been to some meetups that I don't like, but put yourself out there, right? And
Try a few.
So, and really some of the most positive communities are communities of people who come together, and maybe a group that works with their personal trainer, or, a group, because when you're exercising typically and you get consistent about it, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. It's a huge boost to your confidence and the endorphins that are produced in your body that make you feel positive and happy. And so I think everybody should be part of some kind of exercise group of some sort.
No, I agree. I agree definitely. And I think that, say what you want about CrossFit, everyone has different views on it. But to take CrossFit and the fitness part of it out of the equation, the reason that they're so successful is because they made community a part of their program. So if you join, they call them boxes, right? If you join this, it's more than just a gym, right? It's a club. They have socials. People know each other.
Absolutely.
There's excitement. There's challenges. There's boards on the wall that keep track of your times. Everyone knows each other.
Yeah,
exactly. And you're more than just a number, right? You're part of a community, which really helps. And
I'll throw this out too. I mean, there are a lot of faith communities that are really successful too, because they feed the spiritual need, and then they also provide opportunities to be a community, whether it's dinner groups or work parties, or helping out in the community, or singing in a choir, whatever it might be. So it feeds both the spiritual and the need for human need to be in community.
And people
absolutely right.
Positive direction.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, we are out of time, Ian, but this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much. Will you please share with our audience where they can find you? Tell us about what you have coming up, any other projects or things that you would like to share. Go right ahead. This is your time.
Sure, definitely. I'm pretty active on Facebook, so you can. I have a Facebook page, Golden Habits. So check it out. I'm always there. Do videos and stuff. Check out my blog, www.goldenhabits.com. I write a lot of content, and I also have a Facebook group, and it's called Live with Confidence. And we talk a lot in the group. It's actually a new community. I run a couple different ones, but I think that one is really going to take off. And if anyone is looking for just a positive support group that wants to talk about developing better habits and living with more confidence and needs a place to feel that support, it's a great group. It's people from all over the place, but it's a lot of people that they want to better their lives, and maybe they're missing that positivity in that community. So those are all three good places that you can check me out, and I'd love to connect with anyone listening.
That's great.
Excellent.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, here we are at the end of another fantastic episode with the Mighty Married Moms. We've been privileged to be speaking with Ian Ryan, and I hope that you will share this with your family and friends. Please subscribe. We would love to have you subscribe and let your family and friends know that you are on iTunes, and we would love to let your family and friends know that you're listening and getting a lot out of Mighty Married Moms. So until next time, we'll check back in then. But have a great day. Thanks.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Mighty Married Moms. Tune in twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to meet fascinating and inspiring guests who will help you create the life you've always wanted.
You can find these episodes and special gifts just for you at mightymarriedmoms.com, as well as a link to our Facebook community,
where we continue the conversation around the kitchen table. Please also help share the love by leaving a review on iTunes. We'll see you next time.